Are you sick and tired of being disrespected by women? Well, my friend, it's time to change that. In today's video, we're going to talk about the difference between commanding respect and demanding respect. And this is an important distinction for a lot of guys to understand, because the root cause of the problem that I mentioned before of women disrespecting you comes from you trying to demand respect rather than command it. You see, one comes from a place of power and one comes from a place of desperation. If I demonstrate that I'm a man with power, a man with influence, a man whose word actually means something, a man who keeps his word, a man who does what he says and says what he means. If I demonstrate that I'm a man of action, a man of value, then this will naturally command respect from people. However, if I'm a man who thinks he's entitled to respect, irrespective of my actual standing, without having done the prerequisite work, think of someone who gets promoted to a managerial position in a workplace. He hasn't demonstrated competency that other like on the ground workers have done for each other. They've all demonstrated competency to each other. But this guy is shoved into some managerial position and he hasn't demonstrated that competency to the guys who work underneath him. Right? I'm sure a lot of you guys will be familiar with a scenario like this. He expects to be treated with respect. So what does he do? He barks orders and tries to flex his power on them to force an outcome rather than persuading an outcome out of them. That is demanding respect. This trying to force an outcome out of somebody without having done the prerequisite work, without establishing that you're a man that is worthy of respect. This is what I mean by demanding respect. Now, in my opinion, one of the best ways to command respect from a woman is to show her that you know what the fuck you're doing in the bedroom. So I suggest you check out my ebook right here. So what are some of the other ways that you can command respect from women? First of all, she has to know, not necessarily overtly, but at least subconsciously, in the back of her mind, she has to know on some level that she is replaceable. Like I said, this doesn't have to be overt and in her face, but subtly, nagging in the back of her head. She knows that if she acts up, he's probably going to replace my ass and replace me quickly. You want to be a man who does what he says and says what he means. Your word needs to have value. Your word needs to be important. This used to be a very, very familiar concept to men since the dawn of time. But these days, that is kind of lost on a lot of people. You want to be someone who's competent in what he does. You get shit done. You solve problems. You're a winner. It also really helps to show that you're a leader of other men. Now, depending upon your work situation or your social situation, well, this might be easier said than done for a lot of dudes. But if she can see that men around you at least respect you and hold you in high regard, that respect is naturally going to translate across to her as well. This is why it's important, and this is why me and my buddies, we never like jokingly insult each other around women. We don't do that because what does that? It doesn't actually, even though I'll totally do that to my friends when it's just the boys. We'll totally take the piss out of each other, joke, call each other stupid names, insult each other all the time. We'll absolutely do that in private. And that's, in my opinion, that's one of the ways that men actually show affection to other men. The mistake a lot of dudes make is by doing that in the presence of women. In particular, in the presence of women that their boys are actually trying to attract and be in a relationship with and seduce. You never want to do that, because all that does really is demonstrate, even if you're joking, even if it's obvious that it's a joke, All it does is it subtly demonstrates that you two men do not have respect for one another. And what does that do for her? She's like, well, why would I want to be with a guy whose friends don't actually respect him enough to treat him properly out in public? You want to be a man who enforces boundaries on people in his life. This is really, really important. And it's very useful for her to see this, for her to see you enforcing boundaries on somebody else, so that she knows that if she ever steps out of line, then she's gone. Some behaviors you want to completely avoid in regards to making sure that your woman respects you: don't be frugal, don't be a penny pincher, a tight ass, a cheapskate. This is a guaranteed way of instantly losing your woman's respect. Look, doesn't mean don't stick to a budget, by the way. What it does mean is don't, as in a practical example, don't talk about the price of things if it's just you and your woman going out to dinner or something like that. Never talk about, oh boy, that steak's really expensive on the menu. That is never a good look for a man. You can think that in your head, or you can say that if it's just you and your boys, but don't say that around a woman. Don't be a coward. Again, women will instantly lose respect for you if you're a coward. That means she's not safe with you. It means you can't protect her. Always take the opportunity to act with honor, to act with integrity, to act fearlessly wherever it is possible. Commanding respect has to come from a position of genuine power, influence, and most importantly, abundance. Now, one of the best ways you can show abundance is by being a man who knows what the hell he's doing in the bedroom. So I highly suggest you check out this playlist where I teach you right here.